My most favorite snake story actually comes from a captive animal, or maybe two different captive groups. And for a long time, I had a Mojave rattlesnake that was confiscated, given to me as part of a bust. Folks who had collected it illegally, and then it was in the Game and Fish's possession, and they gave it to me. So I had him in captivity. I used him for these training programs. He lived at my house. He had a big cage. We became close, and this is anthropomorphizing, but it is true. He interacted with me regularly. When he would defecate or express urates in his cage, he would come to the front of the cage, and whenever I would enter the room, he would rattle and rattle and rattle and rattle until I cleaned his cage. And I would let him out, clean the cage, put him back in, he would be fine. Next time he defecated, same thing. Come to the front of the cage, rattle, I clean the cage, he's fine. And so, wow. To me, the value of keeping animals in captivity and looking at their behaviors and thinking about their behaviors is really, really interesting, because it kind of shows their abilities for communication, interspecies communication in this case, and also just their ability to reason. The snake knew that I was the cleaner, and he was basically telling me it was time to do my job. And so, we had this really close working relationship. Keeping snakes in captivity is part of our captive breeding program for the narrow-headed garter snakes. We've seen snakes released into a captive enclosure that had a waterfall in it, and the snakes would jump into the waterfall, allowed the current to carry them down into the pool. They would fall into the water. They would climb back up into it, and then they would be carried down again. And they did this repeatedly.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, exactly. There's no good explanation for it except for play. These animals were playing in the waterfall, and who would think that a snake would have the capacity either for reasoning like that or for playing? And yeah, in both of these situations, we see these captive animals doing things that we would never think that snakes were capable of doing.